Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week we push the little red button that causes our car to launch into the stratosphere as we struggle against the machinations of a psychotic woman who's been cybernetically enhanced. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report. Now, last episode we released the geriatric action...
It's a superhero
heist. Action heist film.
Yeah.
Captain
Driver and the Courageous Company.
How did I forget that?
Well, it's actually, I'm very, very glad that came up. Because we came up with that name, and obviously all the names we come up with is perfect.
Yep.
But marketing departments in the countries around the world that we released it in decided that the name was a bit of a mouthful.
Okay.
And similarly, like... films get rebranded when they go to different countries. So the classic comedy Airplane is called Flying High in Australia.
Yep.
There's a comedy with Zac Efron and Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller, which I think it's called That Awkward Moment here in Australia.
Yes.
Which was, I don't even remember what the original name of the film is, but it was something much better, and I don't know why they renamed it here.
Yeah, there was another
Neighbours in the US is called Bad Neighbours over here. Yep. Anyway, in countries around the world, they've just called it different things. So in the UK, it's called Drivers 5.
Yep.
In Germany, it translates, but it's Too Captain Too Courageous. So it's just around the world, lots and lots of different rebrandings of Captain Driver and the Courageous Company.
You do realise this screws any hope of a sequel. I mean, there's a whole combination of numbers and letters in those different names. So if we try and do a sequel, how are they going to work?
I mean, this is why we've come up with a very, very clearly thought out and perfect film title. And then as soon as it goes around the world, it just gets screwed over. Our opening weekend, though, just skyrockets. Nice. I think we broke the Spider-Man's record.
Yep.
But it was like the 2001 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man record rather than the current record. But, you know, the small record
is a record.
Broken. That broke a record.
Great.
And we broke something that broke a record. Doesn't matter if it's Avengers and all of those ones have broken it a million times since. It still counts.
Think of all the films that we've broken records on, though.
Yeah.
So... least successful box opening release. We've beaten that.
We definitely have.
Yeah.
I mean, we've beaten, I think we're averaging at least 23rd. I'd like to think it's got to be somewhere in there. Our opening weekend. And then, February is like a notoriously bad month for movies as well.
Yeah.
It's leading up to Oscar season. No one really wants to release anything good.
Yeah.
My birthday's in February, and I believe is yours. Everyone's every 4 years.
Yep.
I always used to try and take my friends to the movies for my birthday.
Yeah.
And ended up watching garbage films because it's just sort of like, I'm 12. I don't really want to be watching Black Hawk Down, but it's the only thing that's out at the moment. So I guess that's what we're watching.
That's a good point. Yeah. Because it's winter in the US and no one wants to leave their house because it's freezing outside.
And it's just before the summer holiday blockbuster season. It's in a period where they don't want to all the Oscar films. So it's a really...
Everyone goes into hibernation. Yeah. So this is our time to capitalize.
Really, we should be breaking all the February records.
That's right,
by putting up movies that people want to watch.
Exactly. All right, on to this week in trailers. And first trailer for you today is Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, directed by David Leitch, one of those, and starring Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, and Idris Elba.
I'm dealing with the future of the planet. I'm the necessary shock to the system. I am human evolutionary change. Bulletproof. Superhuman.
Who the hell are you?
Bad guy.
The mission has been compromised. We need help.
Our target's name is Brixton. He's a ghost. We're gonna need the best trackers in the business. Luke Hobbs.
I'm what you call an ice-cold can of whoop-ass.
Career lawman. Always gets his guy. We're gonna need to operate outside the system. Deckard Shaw.
I'm what you might call a champagne problem.
Fast and Furious presents.
I like those words came up in the trailer, and I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And then when you realize that they've taken two auxiliary characters from the Fast and Furious universe and spun them off to be action bounty hunters, chasing down a cybernetic Idris Elba. That's what it means. That's absolutely.
Have you like these films, like as they stand now, are so far removed from the original Fast and Furious that. Well, I mean, the original Fast and Furious was just street racing, drag races, hotted up cars.
I believe Paul Walker was an undercover cop investigating some sort of crime at the street racing circuit. And it was grounded in reality in a way where a cybernetically enhanced Jason Statham...
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba, who's cybernetically enhanced. I fell off the Fast and Furious at around 6.
You lasted that long?
Yeah, and they keep churning them out. And they make a lot of money.
They do.
In a way where you pronounce the director's name as Leach, and I'm like, that's probably the correct pronunciation because he's sucking money from everyone. I actually quite liked the look of this trailer up until about halfway through.
Yeah,
it had this nice sort of The Rock and Jason Statham. Hate each other. I imagine they're probably enemies. They've
got history in the previous films, I believe.
I think number 6 must have been the first one that The Rock was in, and that was the last one that I watched. And then I think Jason Statham comes along as the bad guy in other ones. And so, we used to be enemies, and now we have to work together. We hate each other, but we're put in a situation where we have to team up. I quite liked their dynamic. I think they looked, it looked like they had chemistry on screen and it was going to work, and then it just devolved into this CG action bullshit, and it lost me.
Which I think follows the same kind of lines that the current or whatever the previous Fast and Furious film does the same kind of thing. It's a lot of like heavy action, a lot of stuff shot in sort of in camera, but also augmented really heavily with CGI. So just to explain, Idris Elba basically comes out as this new cybernetically enhanced supervillain, and the world's governments / authority, some organization basically says we need the 2 best trackers in the world, which turn out to be Hobbs and Shaw, The Rock and Jason Statham, who need to then team up to go chase them down. It's a classic buddy
You're doing
cop.
the plot way too much justice. You're like saying we've kind of thought about this where they haven't. They've just gone, we want to do action and we want to make it stupid.
We want to do a buddy cop
it is
flick. And it's like these two hate each other, and there's no like you remember in those old buddy cop films, it was always like, here's the one that adheres to the rules and here's the one that breaks them all, and they don't get along.
What happens when they both break the rules?
What if they're just
he
both
breaks the rules in different ways? To the way that I break the rules, and I'm not happy with that.
But that's part of it, like, and the action sequences kind of reflect that. They kind of have their own ways of dealing with whatever comes up to it, and they sort of compete at the same time while they're doing all these ridiculous things to take on the bad guys. So
as you'd somewhat expect, this also came out during the Super Bowl as this was the Super Bowl trailer.
Came out today.
This is the kind of like escalation that sort of happens in Super Bowls trailers and ads for years and years. There has to be more wild and batshit. They do a thing in this one, which I think we talked about a little bit a while ago, where they do a weird bleeping of the swear words. Where it's like they're both sort of like behind the two-way mirror. And they're trying to beat each other up, and it's like, not this asshole, but instead of saying asshole, the microphone sort of has static, so you don't hear that word.
It's the in-universe censoring that sort of happens coincidentally.
And then later on, Jason Statham's in an elevator that's rocketing down the side of the building, and Dwayne, who jumped out of a window and is beating up a guy in midair, smashes the guy's head against the glass of the window, and you see his mouth say "fuck you," but because it's inside like the bulletproof glass, you don't actually hear the words. So it's like, no, I didn't really swear. You can't prove that I said those words. Censors.
This is, I don't know, this feels like a more classic form of censorship that you used to get in films of the 80s and 90s, where the character was just about to swear and then they cut to the thing happening. The classic, like, bad guy's about to get eviscerated or he's about to explode or something, and then he just goes, oh, and then the explosion happens. And this feels like a return to that kind of like, we know these films aren't for kids, but hopefully we'll just sneak it under the line anyway. Going for that sort of very, very hard PG rating there instead of the hard R. Anyway, that'll come out sometime later this year, and I'm assuming that another Fast and Furious film will immediately follow it. If they happen to have cars in them, then, it might be fun. Anyway, go and see that whenever it comes out. Okay, second trailer for you today is Men in Black International. And not just the name of the trailer that I thought it was, it's actually the name of the film.
Right, because they do have the international.
I thought it was just like Men in Black International Trailer, but it's not. It's Men in Black.
Like if it was called Men in Black Red Band.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard that before, Red Band's trailer, but no, apparently it's the actual film.
It's Men in Black, International, and then there's the international trailer for it, so it's the Men in Black International trailer. Directed by F. Gary Gray and starring Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, and Liam Neeson.
Always remember, the universe has a way of leading you to where you're supposed to be at the moment you're supposed to be there.
Let's do this.
It took me 20 years to find you. How many people can say that? You are the best kept secret in the universe. And I found you, which makes me perfect for this job.
You really think a black suit is going to solve all your problems?
No, but looks damn good on you.
Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh snap!
We are a rumor. Recognizable only as deja vu and dismissed just as quickly.
So we're back into long-awaited sequel territory, I guess.
Men in Black 3 wasn't that long ago.
But that also came out after a significant gap from Men in Black 2.
It did. Yeah, there was a big gap there, and they did a time travel thing because Josh Brolin looked enough like young Tommy Lee Jones.
That's right.
They're like, hey, that deserves making a film out of.
Exactly. And to be fair, he looked a lot like him too.
Yeah.
And they had to also replace Rip Torn, who played I think he played Z or Z, because a lot of real life things happened to Rip Torn, and he became less than hireable after that. And they replaced him with Emma Thompson in the third film. She reprises her role in this one, so it does suggest that this is actually a sequel to Men in Black 3, but
great big reboot sweep like they seem to be doing with lots of other things.
Exactly. It's one of Sony's favorite thing to just sort of clear the board and start again. Hello, Spider-Man.
Exactly. Start again. Universe is over. What else can we do?
Yeah, exactly.
No, we can still just draw the same squiggly lines.
Exactly.
Oh, well.
So no, at least according to this trailer, no Will Smith, no Tommy Lee Jones, no Josh Brolin either.
But we do get Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson from Ragnarok.
For Ragnarok, yeah.
Not reprising their roles, but hopefully reprising the chemistry that they had together in that film, because they were quite good as sort of characters that sort of played off one another. I enjoyed that element of that film, and this could be fun. Who knows?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth's kind of playing a similar Thor-ish kind of role here, in that he's the kind of slightly stupid hero of the day.
Well, I think we're introduced to him. He's like the best agent that we've ever had, and then it cuts to him. He's just asleep at his desk. He's like, "Oh, it's 9:30. Let's have lunch," because I'm so good at my job that people don't, and so handsome that people don't tell me I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah,
so
it's almost a kind of role reversal, because Tessa Thompson character comes in as the new agent to the Men in Black, and she's raring to go. She's all action packed and sort of ready to take on whatever's coming. And the person that she gets teamed with is sort of the complete opposite. Yeah. This film seems to go and bring back a little bit of the fun that the first film definitely had, and then sort of vanished from all of it once the third one rolled around. But at the same time, it could be a really cheap, lazy cash-in.
It could. I don't really get a sense from the trailer of if it's going to be or not. Sometimes you do.
I know.
We should probably mention it's called Men in Black International because this time it's in London.
It is, yeah.
And that's it.
That's pretty much it.
It really does feel quite a lot like we're making Men in Black 1, but in London.
Yeah.
So That's a thing.
Yeah.
What's different? Liam Neeson's voice is doing the voiceovers.
Emma Thompson doesn't need to fly to the US to shoot the scenes. She can do it right at home.
But I think she's in the US.
Oh, is she
she's
in
in
the
the
US?
US scenes.
Wow.
She's the head of the US one.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Anyway. Yeah, so it could be fun, could not be. This is, I guess, what they call like a kind of a soft reboot where it still exists in the same universe,
but different characters.
The styling has changed, the characters have changed, and so on and so forth. They want to sort of make a clean break with it. Hopefully it'll be fun, because I do like the first Men in Black. It is quite a fun film.
It is very fun.
And I kind of miss those kind of films. And it still holds up. Like, go back and watch Men in Black 1. It's still fun.
Yeah.
It's still great. All right. Final trailer for this week's episode is Greta, directed by Neil Jordan and starring Chloe Grace Moretz and Isabel Huppert. Cupid?
Old Mother Huppert.
Huppert.
Where's this?
I have a bag that I found that I think belongs to Greta Hadag
Oh, bless your heart. Where did you find it?
on the subway.
Oh, would you like a cup of coffee? You've been so kind. I don't get many visitors here. I've been so lonely since my daughter left.
Well, I could help you. My mom actually used to say I'm like chewing gum. I tend to stick around. Where are the candles?
In the cabinet. Did you find them?
I guess she's been planting bags around the city. I was hoping someone brings them back to her. And you did. Oh my god, it's her. Just let it ring. I saw the bags, Greta. And I never want to see you again. She's really freaking me out.
This is a weird one. You can tell very early on there's going to be a mid-trailer twist where things go askew, and then midway through the trailer, there's a twist where things go askew.
You can just, there's something about the dialogue in the opening scenes that just doesn't feel sincere at all. It feels like if you had to describe what a normal conversation between two people might like sound like, this might be what it is.
So the basic premise here is that Chloe Grace Moretz finds a handbag on a subway train, opens it up, there's a driver's license inside it, and it belongs to this elderly lady. She's like maybe just past middle age.
Yeah, the titular Greta.
And Greta's like, oh, thank you for bringing it. Can I do anything to help you? Chloe Grace Moretz is like, oh yeah, sure, this is fine. I lost my mother. There's something about
they strike up a friendship.
They
so
do strike
like
up
the Greta
mentor
sort of
mentee kind of friendship. Sort of.
Greta says, "Oh, do you want some coffee or something?" Sort of to say thank you, and they basically develop a friendship and a bond.
They go see movies together. They walk around the park. It's all very sort of nice and cutesy in a way where I'm like, this could just be a remake of a nice French film.
Yeah, but done
about
really
badly. And then it turns out that Greta is a psychopath who deliberately leaves handbags in public locations to try and get people to return them to her so she can lure them in. She's mentally unstable. She starts stalking Chloe Grace Moretz, and it all breaks down from there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird shots with like syringes, and she's got like a syringe full of drugs that she puts people injects into people's necks. She does a shot where she fires a gun to an unseen location and then is filling a bucket up with blood.
Yeah, it gets really weird, but there's something odd about the dialogue in this film, even in the bits that like
was supposed to be normal. Yeah,
was supposed to be normal. Just like don't ring true at all. And then like Chloe Grace Moretz makes this whole like I don't want to see you again kind of thing once she discovers that Greta is hiding all these like duplicate handbags around. And again, it just doesn't feel like
there's a bit of an overreaction. It's like, oh yeah, there's a lonely elderly lady who like doesn't know how to meet people.
Yeah.
That's a bit weird, but it's not enough to go psycho over.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it's one of those films that like they had a concept and they had a tone in mind, and then they were like, how do we actually get it here logically? And then they'll just like, here's some dialogue that'll do. So the bits where you actually see Greta acting in a rather psychopathic manner are, kind of twisted and scary-ish, I guess, in a kind of thrillery way.
In the trailer there where I think there's a Chloe Grace has complained to the police.
Yeah.
And there's a police lady who's interviewing. It's like, the one thing you don't know about Greta is...
Yeah.
And then they don't explain it. And I'm just like, I kind of want to know what the police woman was going to say, but it would also mean that I'd have to be interested enough to remember that I wanted to figure out what she was going to say in about 3 months' time when it comes out, and then also sit through what I assume is going to be at least 3/4 of the film before she says that one line of dialogue, and it's just not enough to get me there.
It's
oh
not.
well.
So yeah, I don't know. Could be fun. Could not be. Did you get an odd, slightly supernatural tinge to this at any point?
There's the one shot there where Chloe Grace is in, or CGM, I don't know what we can call her.
Yeah.
I've got to abbreviate it somehow, otherwise there'll be a long sentence I have to say to explain the abbreviation of her name. She's in the elevator, and the walls are actually sort of physically closing in on her.
Yeah.
And there's this thing where, I don't know, there could be like a twist. My thinking is like, she's possessed by a demon, and then if you kill her to get rid of her, the demon then possesses you. But so, like, it's weird that my brain has gone to that location because there's nothing in the trailer that suggests that there's definitely a supernatural overtone, unlike Suspiria, like where there's witches in a ballet school, definitely.
Yeah.
But this has a bit of that vibe where it's like, there could be witches in a ballet school.
Or there could be the syringes being some kind of psychedelic drug or something
Who
that's sort
knows?
of making her hallucinate. But who knows? Who knows? You might know once this film comes out.
Or if you've watched the original French one that Isaac postulated may exist, but we never researched whether it does or not.
As far as I'm aware, it's an original film.
And that's as far as we're willing to be aware.
Exactly. All right, those are the 3 films for this week's episode. But of course, before we can do anything with those, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room.
Let's go.
Here we are. Do you like the new branding that I've stuck up all over the walls?
It is very nice new branding. I love the new logo. It feels very professional.
Mm-hmm.
I like the pointiness of the M's and the V's very much so.
All right, let's have a quick recap of this week's trailers. We have
a spin-off of a big budget franchise where we've taken 2 characters out of context and put them in together.
More importantly, a big budget franchise that has evolved from one thing to definitely another thing over the years. We also have
another big budget franchise where they've kind of wiped the slate clean and tried to put a fresh spin on it with some new fresh faces.
Yep, and we have
a relationship between an older and a younger character psychological thriller.
All right. I believe it's my turn to choose for this episode. Quite a nice little range of things there. You know what? We haven't done this for a little while. I think I want to do Hobbs and Shaw.
Ooh, I like it.
Another, we haven't done a good action film for a little while.
I probably should have very much emphasized the fact it is a buddy cop film.
Yeah.
It's a buddy film. It's got your Butch Cassidy and Sundance elements. It's got some Lethal Weapon, it's I want to say Turner and Hooch, but that's probably, I'm not sure out of those 2 characters there which one you would cast as the dog, but no, definitely. I like the relationship between the 2 characters. I like the action.
Yep.
And the fact that you can just sort of pull 2 characters out of an existing franchise and not even have to think about coming up with new ideas. I like it.
But I think what's important is that we should take an existing franchise and evolve it first and then spin off from that point.
Fair enough.
So as we mentioned, Fast and the Furious started off as like a street racing, hotted up cars kind of undercover cop, very down to earth, and current Fast and the Furious is
like driving Lamborghinis out of the side of the
skyscraper.
Burj Al Arab.
Exactly, yep.
And somehow surviving just because you can.
Who knows? So I think we need to do that to another franchise as well, and then spin it off from there.
All right, okay. So what's the franchise that's now? We would probably say maybe in its infancy now.
Yep. Oh, what's current? What's good? Period history drama.
Okay, right.
So
there's a whole bunch of them.
There's a bunch of them.
What's
out
the
now.
one? The 2 queens, and they're both red haired, and one's Margot Robbie, and the other one's Saoirse Ronan.
It's not Mary Queen of Scots because that's the other one.
No, it is Mary Queen of Scots.
No, that's the. Oh yeah, it is that one. Yeah. But there's another one.
There's the other one where there's the 2 people that the favorite. I think
the
it's
favorite
called.
is that one.
So there's a whole bunch of those period piece ones. What we want to do is not take the Queen, right?
Yeah.
We want those. We get to a point there where the auxiliary characters are now being spun off into their own little series.
Yep.
So the history's forgotten heroes.
Yep.
who are not royalty, because all of these ones at the moment seem to be focused on the people who are immediately surrounding the royal family.
What about like servants? So sort of like the servants of the Queen of England back in those days, Queen Elizabeth I, her servants and caretakers and all that. We take
I
two
happen
of
to
those.
know that Queen Elizabeth I, her tutor, one of the people who taught her at a very young age, was a man named Roger Ascham.
Okay. That sounds good.
That is a history fact.
Great.
For you right
That's
there.
exactly what we need to base this in then. So
Character number 1 sorted.
What did he do? What did he teach? Just
like he was like one of the smartest people about, so he just taught her all about like everything.
Right. So you know what we do? We knew it's the Indiana Jones analog. So if he's a tutor, then he would also know about archaeology.
Archaeology, yeah, okay. But there's not as much to dig up back then because it's way back in the past.
Or was it?
Or is there? All right.
I was about to bring time travel into this.
Yeah. Interesting. I like it. So he's like the history teacher who has like a side gig as an adventurer before like the 1920s
but
Howard
an
Carter
unknown
era.
side gig as well.
Yeah.
Like, and this is not like Professor Jones where they always know that he goes away on trips to do field research and stuff. So it's kind of known that he's a globe-trotting academic. His side pursuit is completely unknown.
Right, okay.
Not even
Is it on His Majesty's Secret Service? I think the king at that time would be Henry VIII.
Yep. Are we doing a James Bond reboot?
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, if he's going off on secret side missions at behest of the monarchs.
Yep. I think, you know what? I think let's do that. Let's make him a secret agent as well.
I mean, at the moment, we're just describing where the historical fiction evolves to, and we're going to rip the character of secret agent archaeologist Roger Ascham out of those films, and he's in the, whatever the... I don't even know what the names are. So what's the name of the royal family back then? Are they the Tudors at that point? Are they the...
Sure, why not?
Oh, man. I don't know enough about English history.
Let me call the Academy.
While you're there, can you scour English history for like another obscure tutor at some point? Because I can't. Christopher Marlowe.
But it doesn't matter. We don't need a second.
Yeah, we do.
You need full historical.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Look up who Christopher Marlowe was. I think he's a contemporary playwright of Shakespeare who is at or around that time as well.
Oh, I like this. I like the Shakespeare aspect.
But it's not Shakespeare. It's got to be more obscure.
Yep.
And so I think Marlowe and Ascham team up, and I think they may like not have existed. They're within about 80 years of one another. Who's going to look it up in the history books?
Apparently, Christopher Marlowe greatly influenced William Shakespeare.
There you go. And I think from my knowledge of Shakespeare in Love, he must have been around at the same time that Elizabeth was around.
That sounds great.
Perfect.
This is what we do. This is what we do. We do the Da Vinci Code. We do so Christopher Marlowe's a writer, playwright, but also someone who's well versed in ancient documents.
Oh, right, okay.
Teaming up
National
with
Treasure Book of Secrets.
Exactly. Teaming up with the brawn, Elizabeth's tutor. What's his name again?
Roger Ascham.
Roger Ascham. The two of them do not get along. He's the academic. I can't say both. I mean, Christopher is the academic, and Roger is the globe-trotting secret agent.
Really? Because I would have put it the other way. Is
do it the other way
he not
around.
a history teacher as well? They're both academics,
Well-
but they're academics in subtly different ways, which causes conflict.
Exactly like Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, exactly.
Both are action men,
And they break
just
the
do
rules.
things very differently.
These guys don't break the rules, but they don't break the rules in very different ways.
They break the rules, but they make sure it's peer-reviewed
I
first.
think what we do is Christopher Marlowe, who's the playwright, is imaginative,
and
he makes stuff up. Whereas Roger Ascham is very sort of history, fact-based kind of thing.
Okay. So is maybe like Christopher Marlowe's kind of like master of disguise as well, or is a fast talker.
I like that.
And can kind of like, wheedle and
I'm sure
he
cut his teeth actually on the stage.
Probably.
Writing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so... This is a screwball comedy? I don't feel as though it should be.
No. It just needs to be like high octane action with those elements of comedy.
You said Master of Disguise.
I mean, like, we're not going to get like a Yahoo Serious style. Or who was in that Master of Disguise film?
Dana
Carvey. Yeah, no, we're not going to go down that road. But I'm just saying, like, more of a like quick talking, sort of like more able to sort of like worm his way through conversations and stuff.
So why have they been brought together? What's the adventure that they have to go on?
So Queen Elizabeth I think she's the only one that's in on the knowledge that her tutor is actually a secret agent.
And I think at this stage she's about 15, maybe,
Yep.
thereabouts. Her dad, Henry VIII, is still king of
Yep.
all of Britain.
Yep. So maybe
King of the Britain.
So maybe this is like Queen Elizabeth. This is the formation of like a supergroup, right? Like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Ooh, okay.
So she begins the first. So the phrase "on Her Majesty's Secret Service" originated with Queen Elizabeth
This
I
is
when she was
the
15.
Her Majesty, yeah.
This is the first one. This is the creation of like what would end up being MI6 later in.
So she actually plays quite a big role in this one?
Not
then, does she?
necessarily. I would say that she plays more of like the M role in the
Yeah,
Bond films.
that's actually probably true. Like the same way that Emma Thompson shows up just to tell you, hey, these characters exist in the same universe
Exactly,
as
yeah.
the previous versions,
Yeah.
but we didn't pay the full contract rights.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
she's a day player, and she doesn't. She gets to introduce the world, but
Yeah,
not
that's
actually
right.
be part of the adventure.
Exactly. So like the Judi Dench, the Bernard Shaw of the Bond films. In fact, that's where like the M signature, like, or the M acronym comes from. It used to be HM, Her Majesty. Then it got shortened down for speed purposes. I don't know. So yeah, Queen Elizabeth the First, who's not, is she a queen at this point? Probably not.
She would be the eldest daughter of
next in
Henry?
line to
Yeah.
the throne.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
great. So she begins the Secret Service, which would become MI6 later on.
Right. Okay.
So
sure.
she first employs her tutor because she knows that he has certain abilities and skills that may come in useful on the various missions that she's going to send him on. And then she knows Christopher Marlowe is a thing because obviously she's all up in pop culture of the time.
Yeah.
And she knows that he is
We're there. We've got the characters, we've got the idea of the adventure, but we don't have the adventure.
So now we need a good adventure to put them on. So what would be a good thing to happen at this sort of time period?
Now,
that we
I'm
could
just
throw
going
them
back
into?
to Fast and Furious Presents Ratchet and Clank, or whatever they wanted to call it.
Yep.
And there's just lots of explosions.
Yeah.
Are there stagecoaches back in this time that we can explode?
Oh, absolutely.
Are there... There's definitely crossbows, lots of like fast
Kerosene
swinging
for
crossbows.
like torches and stuff.
They've got to be on a big ship, like
Yeah?
crossing across from England to France.
Oh yeah, globetrotting. We
yeah.
want to take like MIB International.
International,
Take them out of
exactly.
England and put them somewhere else.
Yes.
Where could they go?
Continental Europe.
Okay. Yep. Cool. So
Um,
they go to the main European mainland. So France first, I assume, because it's the
Yeah,
closest.
sure.
And then they sort of make their way through. So maybe they're chasing down a shadowy organization. Okay, let's say this: a threat has been put out onto Queen Elizabeth.
Or maybe the threats on Queen Elizabeth. Maybe it's the threats on her dad.
On her dad.
And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm the... You know, remember Inspector Gadget? How it
Yeah.
was the daughter who
Penny.
Penny was always more on the ball than
Yep,
Gadget
yep,
was. I
yep.
think Queen Elizabeth is more on the
Yep.
ball than Henry VIII is.
I think we're also taking a little bit from another trailer that we saw and didn't talk about, which is Nancy Drew.
We did. Yeah, this is not about Nancy Drew. This is about Nancy Drew's friends going off and solving their own mysteries. It's Nancy Drew presents Friend A and Friend B.
Yeah, okay, so like there's a shadowy threat. So maybe like a black envelope was delivered to Windsor
black
Castle, and black envelope is always the symbol of a particular shadowy...
You know what other organization or person existed around this time, I think, is Vlad the Impaler.
Oh.
So we could go over to Romania and that sort of area, and there can be sort of like this very dark Dracula-y kind of feel to it, possibly.
I love that. All right.
We are getting very League of Extraordinary Gentlemen / Van Helsing.
Yeah, but they have superpowers.
They
This
do.
is different. This is like the action men of the
1650s?
1650s. There you go. All right, great. So yeah, black envelope arrives. They know it's the mark.
1550? I don't know.
They know it's the mark of the Vlad organization, and maybe like it's Vlad with acronyms.
Yeah.
So like it's VL.
The Impalers or whatever they want to call
The
them.
Impalers, yeah, great. And so Elizabeth is like worried, and she's like, right, I have to do something about this. Decides to start the new organization. Sends off her tutor,
Roger
and for some
Ascham
reason gets a
and
playwright
Christopher Marlowe, yeah.
involved as well, and sends them both into France, where they must then journey to Romania to take on...
What is it called? Wachowski? Oh, it's not called Wachowski, but it's something like that. WACH, that area in the 1500s. Anyway, doesn't matter.
The historical research
History doesn't know. History doesn't remember. No one will check.
No. Well, I mean, what year is Fast and the Furious Presents set in? Who knows?
What era do we get
Who
the ability
knows?
to cybernetically enhance Idris Elba? To be fair, I'm pretty sure it was actually done about 10 years ago. So
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. To Idris Elba?
To Idris Elba, of course,
cool.
yeah.
We should probably cast him then for something. But anyway, so what happens? What are we going to do? They're going to travel to France. They're going to travel to Romania. We need some good action set pieces now.
Absolutely.
Like, this is now. So, classic Stagecoach.
Stagecoach, there's ship action sequences.
Yep.
There's like, I imagine it being sort of very cliffs and rocks and like abseiling. So we obviously can't do the side of the skyscrapers like they tend to do in all the Fast and Furiouses.
Yeah.
But there's definitely sort of like some sort of rock avalanche, and they're like abseiling, running down the face of the cliff to.
I think that's what we need. We need precursors to like modern extreme sports and gadgets.
Ooh. Are you going down the XXX route?
Yeah,
where it's just like, how do we get a snowboarding scene and a grind skating and a parasurfing, and a parkour, all in the one? Oh, I actually quite like if Christopher Marlowe was really good at parkour.
Yeah,
and he's got this sort of like lithe sort of like,
because he's a dancer.
Exactly, and he's just sort of like, jumping from rooftop to rooftop.
Yeah, exactly. I think how the sort of urban legend. I don't even know if it's an urban legend, but the story of how golf was invented was like, the Scots were beheading people and then clubbing them into holes or something.
Oh,
clubbing
right.
their heads
Okay.
into holes. I kind of want to do stuff like that as like, here's the origin of snowboarding and here's the origin of abseiling.
Yeah.
It's because these two action men of the 1450s or whatever it was just happened to invent it while they were trying to escape
So
from...
we have sort of deviated. This is now XXX. This is medieval XXX. And I am still 100% on board with it. I think like they definitely have to invent like the parachute at some stage. Maybe we put in some sort of like catapult flying machines, skydiving suit sort of thing.
Abseiling, snow, like skiing. Like, why not?
Absolutely.
I mean, skiing is just two pieces of wood attached to your feet.
Exactly.
So like,
no, I think snowboarding's cooler now.
Actually, skiing is probably something that was around back then in some kind of capacity. So
I'm sure it was.
Snowboarding, definitely not.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
They definitely invented snowboarding. I think the opening like action sequence, like the first action sequence that they get involved in is like they're riding a stagecoach, but somehow like the news of their journey to France and the fact that the Queen has started this organization has filtered through the underground, and they know that they're coming.
So like they've laid traps, and we can just do action sequences at every major city between France and Bucharest or wherever they happen to be going.
They get into the stagecoach, and it looks a bit sketchy, but they're like, okay, this is fine. They take off, and then they suddenly realize that the driver is gone.
Right. Okay.
And it's just like out of control.
Oh, right. It becomes like they are going too fast and potentially even too furious down a rocky hill in a stagecoach that has no steering.
Exactly. And for some reason in the back, there's just nothing but like kerosene oil.
Yeah.
So you know that when that hits something, it's going to explode.
I like it.
And I think, so that'll be the first action sequence. They're trying to like slow down the horses. They have to like climb out of the stagecoach because the doors are locked.
Yeah.
So they have to like climb out of the windows, or like, I think even better, just punch the doors open or something brutal and like hardcore. Climb up onto the roof. You've got Christopher Marlowe kind of like doing deft acrobatic stunts to try and get a hold of the reins of the horses, but the horses are gone. They're out of control.
Exactly.
And I think, let's increase the stakes as well to make sure that kerosene explodes. The driver who like leapt out at some point lit a fuse.
Oh, the whole thing's on fire.
The whole thing's on fire.
Oh, it's on fire. It's speeding down the hill. The horses are out of control. They're on the roof.
Yep.
Oh, what a fantastic action piece. I love it.
They escape at the last minute, but of course the cart goes off the cliff with the horses and explodes when it hits the bottom.
Absolutely.
And that's action sequence 1.
I reckon this is just going to be, we just need to turn on like the X Games.
Yep.
Figure out origin stories of all of like the things and just action, like, because that's all it does. Like, it's just action sequence after action sequence after action sequence. We can do whatever we want. They're definitely like, they're in a castle at some stage. Whatever action sequence is in a castle.
They're going to get double crossed at some point, so maybe they meet up with a international agent who says that the Queen has contacted them.
Oh, right.
But then turns out they're a rogue agent or something, or a double agent, and they get betrayed by them. I think we need a good twist ending as well.
I think so.
Or at least like a twist end of Act 2 kind of thing, and then Act 3 is all about like getting revenge or fixing it. As much as I'd love to throw Elizabeth under the bus at this point and say that she's actually a sleeper agent or something, I don't think that works.
No. What we do is, because if the threat is on Henry VIII's life,
yep.
Turns out Henry VIII is the head of the organisation that put the threat out on his own life.
Yep.
In a way where he's trying to start a war between mainland Europe and England. And so they uncover that his plot there.
Yep.
Or something.
How did Henry die? Did he
syphilis probably. They all died of so apparently as a young man was very fit and a real great sportsman.
Yep.
And then he became king and got so fat and bloated.
Yep.
And canker sores and not a particularly nice.
Because I like the idea that these two agents, unbeknownst to Elizabeth, have to kill Henry.
Oh.
Because that's the twist at the end, right? He is the leader of this organization. And he is trying to start a huge war, and they know that that's a bad thing. So they have to kill him and then return back to Elizabeth and say, we failed, but now you're queen.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That is perfect. I like it.
Yeah.
So
they're just holding on to this secret, and that's how they become the secrets.
Yeah, exactly. There's
it's an American
you know what? You have to keep it a secret.
Yep.
We must be secret agents then.
Yes, exactly. Before they were just agents.
Yeah, although I think James Bond is strictly speaking an intelligence officer.
Yeah.
Let's not split hairs.
Let's not. And also, I think he's part of the Navy and not
Commander Bond.
He's a commander or something. Anyway, I think that's how it needs to end.
I think we're onto something here.
And
really, to be fair, if people are paying attention to the plot by the end, we haven't done our jobs. If
Those
there's sort of
action
like just escalating action sequences to people there with their jaws on the floor, going, I didn't even think it was possible to topple a Romanian tower by causing a drawbridge to spring up too quickly and pull out the keystone, which we put, Vaseline in and charged an elephant. I don't know, whatever the key action piece happens to be.
All kerosene. Everything is done with kerosene.
I think our historical research definitely suggests that that's exactly how the entire world operated on kerosene.
I genuinely want people to come out of this film and go, wow, I didn't realize that the concept of XYZ was invented at that time by those two.
Absolutely.
Hand grenades. Who knew that they were invented in 1450 by two secret agents of the British government?
That's where the phrase hoisted by my own petard comes from, because a petard, like sort of very rudimentary hand grenade of the era. I think the name just writes itself. It is XXX presents Ascham and Marlowe. I know we started with a different sort of idea of what it was spinning off, but this is definitely a spin-off of XXX.
Yeah, no one wants the rights to XXX anymore anyway, so I'm sure we could pick those up on the cheap. Does that mean we have to cast Vin Diesel?
I mean, we have to cast Vin Diesel's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. He's going to appear in there somewhere.
Who is just Vin Diesel?
He would have to be,
Yeah. Or maybe Vin Diesel can play Henry.
Henry,
like the king.
I was thinking more like Vlad the Impaler, or
but Vlad the Impaler is Henry. Like, that's the twist.
Oh, right. Okay, they're both the same person.
They are. So there's this kind of like, people think that Vlad is this sort of mysterious figure that no one knows about. The twist at the end is it's actually Henry, and he's set up this whole thing to spark a war between England and mainland Europe. The only flaw in that plan is that Elizabeth kind of sees this note and thinks that her dad's life is in danger by this Vlad the Impaler. But Vlad the Impaler is the same person.
Right, okay, so with Vin Diesel...
Vin Diesel as King Henry.
We need someone to cast as Christopher Marlowe and someone as Roger Ascham.
As Roger Ascham. So Christopher Marlowe, according to the Academy's research, kind of looks... I mean, he kind of looks like me with long hair, to be honest, but...
Jack Whitehall?
Jack Whitehall, the comedian?
The comedian Jack Whitehall, he kind of looks a bit like... But I suppose so does, like, those pictures of... although Jack Whitehall looks like not Ralph Fiennes, Joseph Fiennes, who played young...
You know who he looks like? He looks like Michael Cera.
He does a little bit. We need someone who's a bit more athletic, a bit more...
Do we cast an athlete? We've had great success before in casting athletes. Never mind that it was a chess champion, but
that's an interesting. I don't name an athlete though. So this becomes the next question.
There's Tom, who was the in sprinting.
Yeah. He won himself a medal.
He did.
Olympic hurdles. Yeah, I don't know.
No, actually, you know what? I think we should go for 2 actors. I
right.
kind of want that witty banter, that sort of
Okay, yeah, I suppose that's
action-y,
true.
And you can't get that out of athletes most of the time.
Yeah, Taron Egerton's just
Taron Egerton is good.
he
He's
just
a good
just
option.
put in a lot of training for the Robin Hood remake.
Yep.
Where he spent ages and ages and ages learning how to run and jump and fire a bow.
Yeah.
So maybe we just sort of like
that was such wasted potential in that film. So at least we can put it to
They
good use.
put a lot of effort into like researching bow techniques and all this stuff.
Yeah, I know.
But he's got some fitness in there. I reckon he'd be
that's
all
good.
right.
Give him a wig.
Give him a wig. Give him a bit of a goatee.
Horrible goatee. Yeah, he'll look
I think
fine.
Roger Ascham, in my mind, is probably a little bit older. He's probably got a beard. It's going a little bit grey.
Yep.
So Ewan McGregor?
Oh, Ewan McGregor. Yeah, absolutely.
I actually kind of think that Taron Egerton and Ewan McGregor dynamic would be
quite good, actually. Yeah, I'd see that film. All right, that's fine. All right, and who's going to play Elizabeth?
Some young
Just
kid.
anyone.
Like, yeah, I don't know. This is the debut performance. We find anyone with red hair.
Yep. I watched Mary Poppins Returns this weekend. There's a young girl in that who plays the daughter of George Banks, the kid from the original Mary Poppins.
Oh, right. Is that who it is?
She'll be fine.
Okay.
She will do.
Cool.
She's got a nice, crisp British accent. She'll fit right in. I think
Done.
she's a little bit younger than 15.
Doesn't matter. We'll
But
give her
they
some
all looked
platform
young
heels.
back then. That's just the time it was. Everyone just looked way younger than they actually were.
Of course, we could just cast someone who's older, but I like it.
No,
Whatever her name is.
But look, by the time we get into pre-production and shooting and writing, well, I don't need to write a script, but all that kind of technical stuff, she'll be a little bit older. You know how it is with like these young actors. You're like, see them in a film, you're like, oh, I wonder who they are. And you go and check their Wikipedia page, and then they're suddenly like 23 years old, and you're like, when did that happen?
That's all right. I like it. So XXX presents Ascham and Marlowe. Perfect. Money in the bank. Done.
And I think that's a wrap.
I think you're right. So you may have noticed that we had a little bit of a hiatus there.
Yeah.
And while we do try and do an episode a week, we were off making an actual film.
An actual film.
One that's like, and we sort of say, you know what, we can knock over our full-length Hollywood blockbuster in a week.
We hand it off to directors and like artists and actors, and they just do it in a week.
And yeah, exactly.
Turns out
we thought, you know, let's learn the craft. Let's learn how the other half lives. Let's make and you know, to be fair, we knocked out a film in 3 weeks.
Yep.
So
it's 15 minutes.
It is,
and it took us 3 weeks to do,
which is just an insane turnaround, really. It will be available on our website. It's I quite
on our
enjoyed it.
YouTube channel. Yep.
Yeah, I wrote it
years and years
13 years ago with a guy who turned out to be a mutual friend, which was a bit strange, and quite proud of what we put together.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit in-jokey. It was for a residential college I used to live in, but I think it sort of stands on its own 2 feet. So if you want to check out some of the stuff that we do that's not the podcast... then go have a look at the film that AJ and I made together. So.
Indeed. And along the lines of things that aren't the podcast, we actually have a live show coming up on the 27th of February.
We really should start rehearsing for that, hey?
We probably should, yeah. So we'll be doing a live improv show as part of the Improv Theatre Sydney Sandpit show. And that will be on at the Chippendale Hotel, as I said, on the 27th of February, which is a Wednesday. We'll be doing probably a spin-off of this show, actually.
Yeah, a little bit. Again, trying to make up a film on the fly, but instead of just sort of discussing the plot, we'll be playing the characters as they try and figure out what's going along on the way.
And
so
just like this podcast, it will be completely improvised on the spot.
Yes.
We do not plan this whatsoever.
It shows.
Yes, it does. Yes, if you're in Marrickville, New South Wales, Australia at that time, come in and have a look and enjoy our weird performances.
Oh, look, to be fair, if you've made it this far through this podcast, then like doesn't matter if we enjoy it or not, so long as you sit through it, that's all we need.
Indeed. Regular housekeeping as per usual. We are online at moviefilmstudios.net, where you can find all of our previous episodes, our bios, the brand new logo and branding.
Yeah, nice work on the branding there, AJ. It does look very schmick.
Thank you very much. When I thought Movie Film Studios, I thought trash can. and Mufuzzi Woodada, the database of films that we've created on this podcast. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the community where Isaac occasionally posts clues as to the trailers we've watched in upcoming episodes.
To be fair, though, I do it when there's less than like a
This is
6 week
true.
gap between when we record the episode and when we release the episode, and when I'm given ample warning as to when the actual episode will be released. Men in Black International, Greta.
Yep.
And what was the other one we've got this week?
I don't know. Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw. That's going to be tough.
That's
to
a real
Google
tough one.
Translate like proper names doesn't work so well.
Also, you need to put in the Fast and Furious Presents bit as well.
That's true.
Because that's a very important part.
See. I'll have to anagram one of those and emoji one of those, and then we translate Men in Black International, which would be fun.
Indeed. If you like artificially inflating the listen counts on various podcasts, how about you go and check us out on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, our website, as I said, or anywhere else that you get podcasts from.
I think that's about it.
I think it is. Quick shout out to the person that wrote us a review on iTunes.
Nice review.
I should probably check their name, but anyway, good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It really helps out. And to be fair, we didn't even ask for this one or know
That's right.
who you are.
And we have no idea who you are, so thank you, mystery reviewer. We like the cut of your jib. I checked it out personally.
All that remains this week is to thank you once again for listening. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.